I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would you please stand for the opening prayer and the pledge of allegiance?
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that affect the families of Fenton Township. Continue to remind us that all we do here today, that all we accomplish is for the pursuit of greater glory to you and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Showed you how somebody switched our flags.
Sorry about that. That was the first in a decade.
Congratulations to Michigan.
I bet you were on the wrong position when you're on.
We have to, yes. They had a wedding down here. They probably cleaned it.
Got a little hand at the wedding.
Roll call, please.
That's the first.
Marine,
Present.
Shoemaker, Mathis,
Here.
Krug is present, Kessler. Here. Gopel.
Here.
Tucker.
Present.
You have 6 members present.
To the members of tonight's audience, this program is televised. You have the 3 cameras here in the corner. When you go up to the podium, you can say your name. You don't have to give your address, but please speak loudly so it'll pick it up. But it will be on channel 191, Charter Communication. Probably it'll start on Wednesday. It goes on for 2 weeks. So you've got to check the 191. Make sure, you might be a baseball game of the school or whatever, but it's for 2 weeks and you'll be able to see your program. Approval of tonight's agenda. Is there any amendments to the agenda? I have one. There's going to be something that I'm going to change as far as the public speaking. We're going to do it as a time schedule of 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long time, and that way it gives everybody a chance to speak. All right. Presentation. Now we have Plant Moran, and we have, pardon me?
We still have a motion on approval of the agenda.
Okay, I'm sorry. I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Presentation. This is Plant Moran, PLLC Financial Report for the fiscal year ending in December the 31st, 2016. We have Pam Hill, we have Crystal Simpson, and a nice looking young man, and I don't know his name.
Mike McCullough.
Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to please give the presentation?
Sure, thank you. You want us to stand over by the microphone? Is that the best?
No, this is good. Your voice is strong.
Good? Okay. I've never been told that I was quiet, so. Again, I'm Pam Hill, partner with Plant Moran. I have here with me today Crystal, who was the audit manager on the engagement, and then also Mike McCullough. Really, he's the one that did all the work, so we're going to let him sit this one out today, and he can watch while we do all the work. So, here today to present the results of the audit for the December 31st, 2016 audit. We spend approximately 300 hours auditing the books and records of the township. And so with that, as you can imagine, it's quite a bit of time on your staff's plate getting ready for us, and then also answering all the questions while we're here. So I would like to thank Tom, Debbie, the whole team. We deal with Bob, Bonnie, John throughout the whole process. And so we just would like to thank them for the professionalism that we receive. It really does help to make the audit process go very smoothly. We have a great working relationship with your team, which also helps throughout the year as questions come up. They call us, so we're making decisions and helping to bounce things off of throughout the year, so that when we come out here at the end of the year, it really does allow it to be a smooth process. So we do appreciate that. So 2 things you should have in your packet. You have the financial statements, which is that bound copy with the black cover probably 50-some pages or so. We didn't plan on going through all 50 of those pages tonight. However, if you wanted us to, we love numbers, so we're more than happy to go through it in as much detail as you want. But we did prepare a graph presentation, kind of like we've done in the past, with just to focus on some of the trends and things like that. So we plan on doing that. And then also you should have a smaller stapled package with maybe 5 to 10 pages addressed to the township board. And so we will go through that letter. That's the end of audit communications. We will go through that letter as well today. 2 pages I do want to touch on in the financial statements, which is pages 1 and 2. That is the audit opinion letter. So that's what the township board hires Plant Moran to provide. It was once again an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that you can receive from your auditors. It doesn't speak to the fiscal health of the township. It only speaks to the numbers as they are presented within the financial statement. So really a good thing. Really, you want an unmodified opinion. I think if you had anything less than that, there would be cause for great concern. But we're here today to tell you that there isn't, and that we're going to talk through a little bit of just the financial condition of the township and kind of the outlook going forward. So with that, I will turn it over to Crystal, and she'll talk a little bit about how the year went.
All right, so we do find it helpful to look at the graphs because we can show you some trends over the years versus just the one-year presentation within the financial statements. As we go through the graphs, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me as we go along. This graph shows your general fund revenue from 2012 through 2016. You can see the total revenue for this year was about $2.9 million. Of that amount, the most significant revenue source for the township is your state sources, about $1.3 million. That's primarily related to your state share revenue. That did go up about $30,000 this year, and is largely driven on the constitutional portion, which is based on sales tax collections in Michigan. Property taxes are the second largest revenue. You can see they're about $767,000. Those increased about $26,000 this year. You did see an increase in your taxable value, just over 3%, so that's great. Just keep in mind that due to Proposal A, you are limited in growth to the lesser of 5% or inflation. So unfortunately, we'll see it increase as fast as it may decrease in some years.
Can everybody hear her? Okay.
All right, this graph shows the same information, but it's just in a pie chart format. So again, you can see your state and federal revenue are about 44% of your total, and then property taxes were about 26% of your total revenue for the year.
I think this is probably a really important graph, and one that I know you probably, as board members, you probably get questions a lot on, just property tax revenues, because residents pay all their property taxes to the township. Oftentimes, we think that it goes all to you, but really it gets distributed to the county and the schools and all the other things that go on, that the residents are receiving the benefit. So I think this is a really telling one, and just seeing that actually almost half of your revenue comes from the state versus actually the taxpayer. So it's a little bit different. Townships are funded a little bit differently, and that is somewhat typical for a township your size to have state shared revenue be one of your main revenue sources.
This graph has your general fund expenditures. You can see they were approximately $2.6 million for 2016. The most significant expenditures, your general government. You can see it was about $1.1 million this year. It did go down about $89,000. The primary reason for that decrease was you had less building and grounds improvements this year compared to the previous couple of years. Public safety was the second largest expenditure, about $808,000, and that's just related to your county sheriff contract each year that fluctuates. This graph shows your general fund balance. It shows your unassigned fund balance, or the portion that's not restricted by an external source. And then your restricted fund balance, as well as your annual revenue. You can see your unassigned fund balance was about $950,000 at the end of December, and that was about 32.8% of your annual revenue. So what that means is if the township had no revenue coming in, you could get through about 4 months of your year based on the unassigned fund balance that you've accumulated there. The restricted fund balance relates to the public access programming or the PEG fees that you get from cable franchise fees that are restricted to be used for those purposes. And then this graph just takes a look at your OPEB plan, or what you hear referred to as retiree health care. It does have your annual required contribution that's really just recommended by the actuary. You're not legally required to pre-fund retiree health care. You can see in 2016 you did contribute about $35,000, so your obligation increased about $26,000. And at the end of December 31st, 2016, your actuarial accrued liability was about $727,000, of which about $466,000 of that is unfunded. So $260,000 has been set aside to help fund your retiree health care. So overall, you're about 35.8% funded. And when we're looking at other communities within the area, your level of funding is higher than what we see just because it's not required to be pre-funded. That will help you. In 2018, a new governmental accounting standard will require you to report a liability within your financial statements for that unfunded liability. So that puts you in a better shape than some communities.
And I think, just to touch on that a little bit, so I know when we kind of met, so we spent, I forgot to mention, but we did spend quite a bit of time with the 3 full-time elected officials, and Tom, Debbie, going through these statements and probably maybe some more, a lot of detail. And that's one thing that I think the township, just from a fiscal health perspective, should feel very good about. So while you do have long-term obligations related to your infrastructure, your sewer, those kind of things, from a legacy standpoint, you really have done an excellent job at capping those costs and monitoring them, making sure that you're getting the unions and employee groups on board, and really trying to cut those costs off. I think this has been such an issue, not only in the state of Michigan, but just local governments everywhere. This whole concept of retiree health care legacies and the non-funding of those obligations. It's, within the billions and billions of dollars within the state of Michigan. I want to say it was like $6 to $8 billion. I can't remember the exact amount of unfunded liabilities related to this. So the fact that yours is minimal, even though you are a smaller community, that is still a very minimal, manageable amount. And with a closed plan and new hires not entering that plan, that amount really is capped per se. It'll go up a little bit as healthcare costs rise, but at some point, as members of that plan drop out of the plan, that liability is going to continue to go down, and at some point, it will be gone. And then you'll just kind of have your fixed costs going forward. So that's something that I think not very many communities can say, and that's something that I would feel, if I was on the board, I would feel very good about that fact. It allows you to have a lot more flexibility in your budget and your long-term planning and take care of maybe some other things, infrastructure-wise and things like that, that a lot of communities can't focus on because they're trying to get these costs under wraps. So again, kudos to management, your employee groups, the board, for really monitoring those things. I think that's a huge differentiator for you guys looking out into the future.
Is there any questions on the graphs? I'll let Pam cover the letter.
Okay, so briefly we'll cover the letter that's addressed to the Board of Trustees. So there's 2 sections to the letter. I think the first one, actually one that I wanted to cover that's not in here, is if we do have any issues related to internal controls of the township, this is where we would be reporting them. So that section is missing from the letter. So we're happy to report that, once again, the township has done a really good job of really taking seriously their internal controls surrounding financial reporting and the stewardship of your residents' money. And you should feel really good about the fact that you don't have any internal control issues. It's not something that I think is easy to come by. I would say there's not very many meetings where we get to get up here and give that good news. You know, typically there's usually always something. So the fact that you've been able to do that, and especially with a small staff, again, I think you should feel good about that. And it also, for you as a board member, means that you can rely on the data that you're given. You know, we're not coming out here, we're not changing a whole bunch of things, making a lot of adjustments, those kind of things. So again, I think you should feel good about that, and your team should feel good as well. Section 1 of the letter, that goes from pages 2 and 3. I won't go into the details of that. This looks exactly the same as it has every year. It's the required communication under the audit standards. If you recall, prior to the audit, you'll get a letter from us that talks about what our plan for the audit is. This is a follow-up to that just says, how did you do compared to your plan? And basically it says we didn't deviate from our plan. We do have a couple things to note on pages 4, 5, and 6. I just wanted to remind the board, and I'm sure you're all aware, but you know, the sewer fund over the years has experienced negative cash flow issues. So the general fund has had to subsidize the sewer fund. Once again, it did have to do that in 2016 to help fund operations. But the township, I think, has really done a nice job of being diligent in your efforts to try to identify any ways that you can save on costs within the sewer fund. And so while you did still have to subsidize operations from the general fund, you did refund your bonds this year, which over time, I think it's 11 years we said, it's going to save the township and therefore the residents almost $1 million. So that's just really, that's huge. And so thinking outside the box, looking for those kind of things, looking for ways to save costs, I mean, I think that's really where you're getting that extra value. So we wanted to bring that up. I think you're doing a great job of looking at that. In helping for ways to kind of cut those costs so that the general fund doesn't have to continue to subsidize at the same level as we have in the past. The next one Crystal talked a little bit about, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that, but just a new governmental accounting standard that you'll see coming up over the next couple years, and we'll continue to work with township management on ensuring the implementation of that goes smoothly. We did want to bring on page 5, there's a revenue sharing section. So we wanted to bring this up because, as Crystal mentioned in her presentation, revenue sharing is about 44% of the general fund's revenue. And so we put this in here because I think it's a little bit interesting. We know that you budget conservatively on revenue sharing, and this just reiterates that you're doing the right thing, I think. So if you look, the first column is the governor's fiscal year 16 budget. The middle column was where they're actually projecting the year will end for 16, which is about $40 million less than originally projected in the budget. So just being cautious on that when you're looking at your budget. Obviously the state's making their best guess on where constitutional and sales tax is going to come out. You know, and so sometimes it might be a little bit higher and sometimes it might be a little bit lower. So just making sure that you're continuing to be conservative on that budget since it is such a large part of your revenue. And then lastly, a new public act that came out in December of 2016. I'm sure you're probably all aware it was a big deal. Everyone was talking about it. You probably got something from MTA on it, talking a little bit about it. But really the governor is trying to help drive home the whole point of this legacy cost issue that we have in the state of Michigan. Lucky for you, it's not as big of an issue. So, you know, you don't have any issues related to defined benefit or your pension plans for legacy costs, since you have a defined contribution plan. So you don't have this liability sitting out there that's not funded. So again, a really good thing for you. On the retiree healthcare side, I think Crystal touched a little bit on it. You're a little bit under 40% funded for your retiree healthcare obligation. So you will be required to file with the state of Michigan. Anyone that's under 60% funded is required to file with the state now. Just a plan as to how you are going to address your legacy costs issue. For you, I think you've already done a lot of those things, so it's just kind of laying out the plan. But since you have a closed plan, at some point, those legacy issues will be gone, right? And you do have some money set aside. So I think you already have a good plan in place. It's just kind of projecting that out and submitting it to the state. So for you, a relatively easy thing. I think a lot of other communities are in the same boat for you as you, and it's going to be a much harder thing for them to comply with. So, any questions?
Okay, thank you, Pam.
Thank you very much. That was all we had. So.
Good job, Michael.
You trained it well.
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, minute meetings. Included in the packet are the minutes from June 5th regular meeting and the June 8th workshop meeting. Are there any corrections or revisions for the meeting minutes? The meeting minutes stand approved as presented. Expenditures. Are there any questions regarding any of the expenditures that are in front of you? None?
I don't have any questions about the expenditures, but I do have just a couple of questions for clarification on review. I know I spoke to Treasurer Tucker to kind of give affirmation to, but what is the policy? I guess, Tom, this would be a question. I would like to understand who reviews the bills when they come in? How does that process work? Whose overall responsibility is it to make sure that the bills that we're paying are correct? Reviewing them, say for instance a contract. We had a contract with like a cell phone company. We had 9 cell phones, and we've been paying for 9 cell phones, but there's only 3 of them that are working, or that are being used. Whose responsibility is that within the township to review? So when something is wrong, whose responsibility is that?
Well, I see the invoices when they come in. I review them just to see if anything jumps out at me before I turn them over to accounts payable, and then she reviews them in more detail. And if she sees anything, she'll come back to me and we'll discuss. But most of them are relatively routine. Was there anyone in particular you were concerned?
No, I just wanted to know for the record whose responsibility it was if a bill comes in, if there's an issue with a bill. Let's say, for instance, we found out we were overpaying something for 6 years because a contract had expired or something like that. Or, we've all done this. Cable expires at your house. All of a sudden you'll get a bill that was $120 and the next thing you know it's $220. Well, we just know we pick up the phone and we call cable and we renegotiate. But if you don't do that, then you're going to pay that higher bill and you'll keep paying it again. I just thought for the taxpayers, I want to know whose responsibility it is here at the township to review who's doing the bill reviewing process.
And first we'll come to Tom, right, Tom?
Yes.
And then he will take it to Debbie. Now, what was it, about a year ago, she found quite a few mistakes on billings when she first came in. Was it AT&T?
It was the phone lines on the pump stations.
On the pump stations. And she worked on it for a long time and got quite a big refund on it. So that's the 2 people that, will review them.
Well, I know that we always, as a board, we pass them, and I just wanted to know what the process was, that's all.
In that regard, ultimately, it is all of our responsibilities.
Because we voted on it.
And I sent an email a while ago. Some people look at me, on these, and I do look at them, and I do question them. I have certain things that I look for, but obviously the way it's laid out, you can't review everything. So I got certain things that just either trigger my curiosity or whatever. But I think all of us, not just one of us, all of us need to be looking at it. If there are any questions, Debbie's great. She'll give you whatever you need for backup, all that kind of thing. But there's a lot of money that passes through this gate. So
a lot of money.
We need a lot of eyes on this.
She's revised this, but to the public, we get the bills like this. And it tells what it's for and everything. And then this whole big pack in the back explains what it's for. And if we questioned it, we'll ask Tom, and Tom can pull it up at a meeting as far as what bill. And then at the very end, she just started doing this, and I wasn't here last week or something, and it showed something about general fund, and that a bill was coming out of general fund, and I questioned it. So we can, at any time when we get a report like this, contact Tom or Debbie and find out what it's for.
And what Bonnie's talking about, to give you a good example tonight, the amount that we're looking at to approve is a little over $400,000. And what our new person in accounts payable has done, and this just started recently, is she breaks down the source of where that money's coming from. Because, you know, if you're just listening to this out in the audience, you think we're spending $400,000 from the general fund. Be a logical conclusion. In fact, tonight, we're under $50,000 coming out of the general fund. Of that 400, over 300 it was coming out of the sewer fund.
Sewer fund.
So we actually had that information before. We would just see the raw data of the total amount spent, but you never actually knew what the source of the funds were. It was, you know, one of the township funds, but it's now actually very helpful to me anyway to see. You know, I'm looking at this $400,000. I know 300 is coming out of the sewer fund, and that's not unusual. As everybody knows in this township, sewers are a very hot button, very expensive issue. So that's not. I'd like to tell you that's an abnormal number. That's not abnormal at all. We, you know, with our bond payments and different things, that's not a big number. But the fire fund's putting out about $8,000. Trust and agency funds putting out 27. That's a lot of the weed killing kind of stuff. And then I don't even know what the clearing fund is. Tom, what's that?
Payroll taxes and things like that.
Okay, it's kind of a holding fund. But,
Yes.
you know, we have that to look at. That's available if anybody's interested in looking at that. Try to keep an eye on that. So it's a lot of money for processing here.
Madam Supervisor, if I may, the process, what it consists of is the clerk's office gets the request for the bill. They prepare what we would think to be a check, but legally it's a warrant. And then it's signed by the treasurer, becomes a check. That's the legal mechanism.
I just wanted, for the record, I just wanted to know whose responsibility was to make sure that the bills were being reviewed.
Tom and Debbie, I think is the answer. And
That's
then-
all I wanted.
Then the board as a whole.
So when we approve it, then we as a board,
Putting our-
we're saying that we're putting our,
yes.
our perimeter on it.
Absolutely.
just wanted the taxpayers to know.
All right.
It's good to have an audit for that reason too. It's not the most fun presentation to have, but that's another check. Once we're done at the end of the year, you know, it goes back through. We spend $30,000 or $40,000 on the audit every year. But you as residents can know that the money's going where it should be going, and that the procedures that we have and we're following, they're very nice. But you won't find audit reviews like the ones we have here in Fenton Township very many other places. We get clean reviews, we get them every year, we get unqualified opinions. It's very unusual. Pam spent some time talking about the OPEB liability because it is a hot button issue, but we've had several conversations, Bonnie and Bob and I, before we got here, and you know, they'll speak even more frankly, privately. It's like, you guys are really doing an excellent job of containing those future liabilities. So, you know, you look at the numbers on the screen, it's like, holy cow, it's a $700,000 liability, but it really isn't. And they're very nice at complimenting us and reassuring us that we're handling it in an appropriate manner.
And in that regard, if I could, I
Yeah,
don't mean
no,
to keep
that's
interrupting,
fine.
but in that regard, one of the benefits that you have here without having your own police department, having contractual services, you're saving a lot of money in that regard.
Because they do it all. They do the billing, they do everything.
Labor intensive, payroll taxes.
They're just paying a
pension
contract, you don't
liabilities.
have to.
Health
Right.
plans, the whole bit.
Yeah, that's
Well,
what
that-
Jack's saying. If you had those on staff, then that would become a big part of that legacy cost calculation, and we don't go there. We just don't play that game.
But we still pay it. I want to make sure the
Yes.
taxpayers understand. We still pay
Oh,
almost
right.
$6,000 a month for, you know, for retirement for the sheriff's department that are currently here. So I don't want to mislead the constituents to say that we don't pay those. We just pay them on a contractual basis
On a
rather than on,
contract.
yeah, okay.
We
Just
don't
want to
have
make sure.
Residual liability, there's no OPEB.
Correct.
Are there any other questions in regards to the bills? A motion is in order to approve the expenditures totaling $405,225.04 for payment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Tucker,
Yes.
Lorraine,
Yes.
Gopel,
Yes.
Kessler,
Yes.
Shoemaker's absent, Mathis.
Yes.
I also vote yes.
All right, now we're going into the public hearing. This one is in regards to Dartmouth Drive Improvement Special Assessment District. The purpose of this hearing is to make a decision on the proposed dissolution of the existing special assessment district for the improvement of Dartmouth Drive and the establishment of a new district for the improvement of part of Dartmouth Drive. The total estimate cost of the project is $92,000. Operation Manager Tom Broker, would you like to explain and break this down?
Sure. The board originally created the special assessment district in 2014 based on design and cost provided by the County Road Commission. During the process of the engineering review, it was determined that much of the road lies outside of the existing public right-of-way, and their attempts to obtain right-of-way agreements from all the property owners in order to build the project as designed were not successful. And so then the residents who were most impacted by the road conditions asked to have the project redesigned to reduce the scope to include only those properties where right-of-way agreements either were in place or weren't needed. And the Road Commission has done that. And so following the process for the special assessment, the proposal is to adopt a resolution that dissolves the old district, adopt a resolution that creates a new district, and then move the project forward from there.
Is there anyone that would like to speak in regards to this for Dartmouth? Yes, sir. You want to come up?
Yep.
Get that.
I'll get it.
I'm Mark Compton. I live at the end, right at the very end of.
Mark, you might have to talk a little louder.
I'm Mark Compton.
Perfect.
I live right at the end of Darts Drive.
Yeah.
You're not gonna do the south end of the road now? Is that what's
Yes.
been taken away?
Correct.
So it'll be done from like where the dirt is?
Right at the, from my understanding, Mark, right at the curve.
Right at the curb?
Yeah.
Okay, now my question is, and this was an issue with me on the last proposal, was that the north end of the road is the best section of the whole road in the township, right on that road. And they want to still tear that up. And you told me, and the road commission told me, that it was all or nothing last time. Now you're saying because these people didn't approve the south end, they take that off. So why can't the north end be taken off and just the part that's bad fixed?
Tom, do you want to give the answer on that one?
Well, they're proposing to redo the road up till the last 30 feet,
Okay, well,
approximately.
okay. Well, I walked it off this morning, and the road is good. The last, the last 230 feet of the road is perfect. There's not there's no concrete missing, potholes, anything. So I don't understand why it's got to come down to all but the last 30 feet.
Go ahead.
The road commission
Yeah.
has said that the road needs to be repaired. It may be good on the surface. That's their engineering department,
Yeah.
their recommendation. We don't really have a basis to go against them.
Mark, I really believe a lot of it is drainage. relocating the drainage, and then our sewer line is there. And so they're going to have to uproot a lot of the pavement. And I think that's where it is. But we have not got a letter stating that, but I do remember the road commission talking about that. What, Mark lives at the very top of Dartmouth. He's at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
And this road is so old, and it has moved itself like a lot of our dirt roads over the period of years. And up at the very top, that road has moved, and so people that don't have the land have acquired land, and people that just the opposite. So they're going to let it be the way it is. And then they brought it down, and at the curve where Judah's house is, right around in there, actually, pardon me?
No, on the straight section.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean, in that area, it takes on, it was almost in your, at the edge of your wall. So they decided not to go and take on those houses that would go south.
That's some of the worst part of the road. I mean, so they're gonna fix the one section of road, but we got two nasty roads that are coming in to get to it. So we're still gonna be driving through potholes and things to get to the good road. It doesn't.
All right, now, are you talking where Mr. Stratman's house is at that curve?
Yeah. Yeah, that's more chewed up than the road that you're gonna come down and tear up in front of my place.
Well, you know, we have to trust the road commission on that.
Well,
I wish
I
I could
don't.
help you on the answer,
Yeah.
but I can't give it to you.
The property formerly owned by Mr. Stratman, that is one of the properties where they needed a right-of-way agreement and could not obtain one.
Right, I know that.
So they're not able to
Right.
do that part of the road.
Yeah. Well,
Initiated by petition.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I guess my point is that they can take off that section of road, but that they gotta do they're saying they have to do the rest of it when only half of it needs redoing and the rest is fine.
At one time, I had heard that road is about 25 years old,
Yeah.
the whole road. Now, this is just when they had some of the meetings, and they said, if we only do so far, then we have a like you said, maybe 200 feet of a 25-year-old road. So they bring in the equipment and get it done, and it would be all new. The worst part is down at the curve by Mr. Love's house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
really
Well,
bad.
I know. That's
lot of drainage.
that's where it needs fixing. I agree.
Now, Tom, we're going to have a public hearing, or will we not on this one?
Well, this is our public hearing.
But usually, because we changed it, we would not have, I mean, these people have come and spoke to the road commission. Commission's not going to come back and answer any questions on this new proposal.
If an informational meeting is desired, we can schedule that with the road commission.
Did you hear that? If people desired it, we could schedule another one, but I don't know, maybe it's just Mark, I'm not sure.
Okay, is there gonna be another petition taken up for this, being it's a lot more expensive now? Because the pie is about the same size and there's a lot less pieces coming out of it now to pay for the work. You know, it's gone from about, according to your figures that we got on this letter, it's gone from like $4,000 a property owner to like $6,500 now.
I've got to let you talk to Mr. Broker on that.
Okay.
Because he dealt with the money
Yeah.
situation.
I believe it's $5,900, if I'm not mistaken, based on the new estimates. We won't know final numbers until they bid the project.
Mm-hmm.
But we're proposing to create the district by board resolution rather than go back and require another petition. And if enough of the people in that proposed district don't want it, then they're
So they will have a chance to say whether yes or no that they want to do it?
Well, if we initiate the district by board resolution, they can file a counter petition to cancel it.
So that's what you would have to do, Mark, if you wanted to get it stopped. Is there anyone, let's let some of the other people
Yeah,
talk, and we'll
okay.
see
All
what
right.
their opinions are.
Okay.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
name is Carolyn Ellis.
You know what, I gotta have you talk a little louder.
My name is Carolyn Ellis, and I live at Lot 6, 5 down from Mark. And what I would like to see done is have Darts Drive private paved. And I would like to, like Mark says, from lot 10, there is nothing north of lot 10, there is nothing wrong with our road. And so if they could just start at lot 10 and go around, since we're not going to do it at the end, on the south end of Dartmouth, we can have a nice road all the way and out to Fenton Road if they pave the dirt road.
One time, Tom, we asked of paving that road and the cost was just unbelievable.
We haven't gotten an estimate for quite some time,
Yeah.
but that has not been, we've
never
not received a
proposed.
request to do that, to pursue
But
that.
if we pave that road, I bet you the people at the south end of Dartmouth, we could have them chip in, because I bet you 2 to 1, they'll come down and go out Darts Drive private rather than go down the awful road on Fenton Road, down to South Long Lake Road, because that's worse than our road down in Fenton. But as far as I know, they're not doing anything about that.
Yeah.
So I would much rather, I would go all the time on Darts Drive private if it was paved. And I bet you the people south would do that too, up to Fenton City.
Tom, can you explain why, I mean, it changed. As far, I mean, it was the whole area that was going to be paved.
Yeah.
And it changed. Then we had to go back to the engineers and have them give us another price. And each time we go back, it's a cost.
Only if we never do the project. They don't bill us for, the estimates they give us are not, they're not detailed engineering. They're not design work, so they're not spending significant amounts of money, so they don't bill us for that. Now, if the project goes belly up, yeah, they're probably gonna look to get some money from the township if the project does not go forward. But the issue of the private road is completely separate. The road commission has no control over that. If that's something that people want to pursue, again, we'd have to probably be looking at a petition to improve that road, get the costs. And if we want to try and combine them, that's going to require some more conversations, because if we mix a public and a private in one project, that presents a few potential obstacles. That doesn't mean we can't do them, but we have to kind of take a step back and look at it again.
Well, for that dirt road private, all of us pay $300 a year to have it graded.
Yes.
And I think last summer they did it twice.
Yes.
And now they just did it a few days ago, before this meeting, I think, so that we couldn't say they didn't do anything to it. But before it was graded a couple days ago, I mean, the potholes were just, you couldn't go down it. There was no way you could go down it. And that's the way it was mostly last year too. And like I say, I can only remember twice that they graded it last year, and everybody pays $300, and that's going to go on forever.
If it wasn't last year, it was the year before, there was huge potholes, huge.
Well,
you
yeah.
can take a pothole and you can fill it, and it'll eventually come back to a pothole.
Mhm.
They dug under, brought the dirt up, they put a bedding in that dirt road, then they filled it. And that road was in beautiful shape.
It was at
Gotta
one
say-
time, yeah.
Me?
But
What,
it
Carol?
didn't last long.
Well, drainage also, and it's a private road, so it doesn't have the proper drainage.
Mhm.
So we tried to do what we could do with it. If we make it into a public road, it's gonna be terrible costly, because you have to have it so wide, and you have to have drainage, and you gotta have all the other things to it.
I see.
So, it's gonna be the wish of the people. I mean, we've done it now twice, and I don't know what the rest of you are thinking about in regards to doing this.
But even if they would put down hard gravel, big gravel that would kind of pack down and not get so many potholes in it.
Potholes will also come to the way people drive. And if you go down that road and by the doctor's office,
Yeah.
I mean, they cut the corner and go right onto the doctor's office. It's bad. There's no doubt about it.
It is bad, yeah.
But Judith, I mean, may I let Judith talk right now and see what she has to say, Carolyn?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
My name is Judith Ebner, and I live at 14244 Dartmouth Drive, and here in the township. I've lived in my house and property for 30 years. I will tell you folks that I've been...
May I ask if you can talk a little louder?
Can you hear me now?
I can.
All right, thank you. I've lived in my house for 30 years, and I have been walking Dartmouth Drive for 30 years. So now I'm going to tell you my side of what I think the problem is. In May of maybe 2014, we would have a heavy rain. It was the heaviest we ever had, and I got out my camera and I photographed every single bit of Dartmouth Drive from the south end all the way up to the north. And this is what I'm going to tell you is the real problem. All right, the water at the corner of Dart's Drive, which is the private drive, and the water coming north from our side, where my house lives, converges at, of course, the crossroads. You have this round drain.
Yep.
All right. I have taken pictures of that drain in the most difficult water conditions. I will tell you that drain is absolutely ineffective. I would estimate that 95% of the water goes around the drain. So what's the problem? Number one, if you look at the drain, the soil on the base has gone down so that the water doesn't even get into it. So I talked to Mrs. Mathis about my El Cheapo solution. And I'm going to give that solution to Thomas in drawings. What's going on is the angle of the road goes to the left or to the west. It is an angle such that most of this water goes south or west of that drain. And when it does, in the very, very, very heavy rains, it just goes right down the road, down to the bottom. And I've taken pictures and sloshed through that when there's been 3 and 4 inches of water down there. So I told Mrs. Mathis that I have a very simple solution, and that's to use speed bumps. Believe it or not, way back maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I went down to the Ohio River, and down at a town called New Richmond, and you came off the bank of the Ohio River down into the floodplain, and it was obvious there was all this water coming down this road. So the Ohio Road Commission figured out a way to capture the water. What they did was they made a rectangular box, if you can think of it, with grates in it, and then they put speed bumps, and so that the water came down, and when the heavy rains, into this drain, and was taken off. And that's how they solved the problem. So then I came back and looked at Dartmouth Drive, and I said, okay, what can we do with this? Because basically, all you're doing is trying to channel this water into this round drain. Now, if 95% of it's missing it, how are you going to solve the problem? So my solution is so simple. It's simply put 2 speed bumps. Now think of an arrow, okay? At the point of the arrow is our round drain. And you've got to get the angle of these speed bumps just so that all that water goes in, down into that drain. I estimate that maybe you can probably get 90% of the water to go in that drain if you simply put the speed bumps and directed it to it. So that leaves maybe maybe 10% at very high water to go over this when it rains, really rains. So when you take away the water, 90% of it, going down that hill, that then reduces the amount of water that's down in the valley. Now, I walked over that and looked at these drains in the valley, and over the years, of course, you have a sinking of the road, and it's all, you know, the old glacial clays and the sands and things make it go down. And I couldn't figure out any way to try to channel water in one of those drains way at the bottom, except I've been down there when the water's been that high over it. So
I know the engineers, Judith, have
Yeah.
really studied that.
Yeah, yeah.
That drain is bad. It's
That's
not
right.
functional. And so I know that'll be part of the correction.
Okay.
To the board members, what would your wishes be? Would you want I don't know how many people are against this.
Well,
Very few people.
I'm going to say, where I'm living, I don't think that road needs to be rebuilt.
You said what?
I don't think the road needs to be rebuilt where
You don't
I'm
think
living.
the road should be rebuilt?
No,
You don't?
No.
Oh, you mean your road at
right,
the top?
right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, going down and changing the level angle of the drain would make a difference. But that's further north than where
You're right.
I'm at.
Okay.
So I'm suggesting that you leave us out of your special assessment district.
If let's say it was all approved, when would they start? Would they start spring of next year?
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah. See, and it just keeps going on and on. I think you've got to make a decision what you want to be done. Do you want, you know, I'm seeing 3 people. I'm not seeing anybody that's saying, yeah, we need this part done. How many are from Darts in here? 3. Oh, that's why you're not talking about it then. That is definite.
What do we have on the math as far as the petition numbers? Because not that we're doing a petition, or you're saying this is a board-created special assessment district. But I would only do it if there was support among the residents, so.
That's true.
And I know that we wouldn't be here if there weren't 50% by number and by frontage or volume. I don't remember what we used. But.
Yeah.
It is frontage. Let me find the original here.
And all the people were notified,
Yes.
right?
Everyone in the original district was notified of this hearing.
I've talked to neighbors around, and they kind of agree with what Mark and I are saying, but they don't come to the meetings.
That's right. See, it's a hard position for us.
I know.
You know, I understand Mark, I understand Carolyn, and I understand Judith. All 3 of you got good reasons,
Yeah.
because the road isn't just a common road. It's a road that's high, low, curves the whole bit, bad drainage. 25 years old, though. It's going to start, but at the top of the hill, if you don't have traffic, the road is a good road,
Yeah.
usually.
That's right. Let's see
Mr.
what
Belzer.
comes
So statutorily, I think if you get 20%, and I'm going off the top of my head, I didn't look at anybody with me, but 20% of the people within this district, if you sign a petition, file that petition with 20% of the people in this district, front footage, that stops it going any further unless 50% comes in to sign a petition. So if there's 20% of the people in this proposed district that don't want to do this, you know, the front footage, they can sign a petition, file it here, and that stops everything unless 50% of those people that come in and want it to go forward.
Don't you 2 agree that you wouldn't get 20%? I mean, like the people are not here, but the people that really, really want it. You know, it's going to be hard to get a 20%, and you're going to stop it. It doesn't matter to me if you do it or not, but it's also, you might not need it up there, but to travel on the road to get to your house, you're using that road.
Yeah.
You are, but we're still gonna have the dirt, you're either gonna have the dirt road to get in there, or the part of the south end that they're not gonna do. You're gonna use one of these other roads to get to our new road, and those are both nasty roads, so, you know, you might as well just
All right, what does the board want to
I
do?
want to know what the math is.
Well, in just a quick glance, if I include only the properties, the owners that are in the new proposed district from the original petition, it's about 80% of the frontage that signed the petition.
That
Well,
want
I'm looking, I counted, I got like 28, is that what 26, 28 parcels? Is it per parcel? Or is it based on it?
Well, we've got,
it? No, not
it's
parcel.
proposed, we've got some that have garage lots, they're counting as one, even though there are two physical parcels, but they're,
Okay.
Across
because
the
they're
road.
not allowed to combine them, so they're assessed one.
Okay.
So I think we've got, we've actually got only 14 parcels to be assessed. And if you take those 14 plus their garage lots, and for those that have them, take those combined frontages, it's about, signatures on the original petition are about 80%.
All right, but if Jack is correct, they only need 3 of the 14 stop then.
Yeah.
Front footage.
Yeah.
Based on
It's all the
front
front
frontage, yeah.
footage, both
Yeah.
sides of the road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
proposal to do it by board resolution was more of a time saver. If the board prefers just to start the whole process over, we can do that. I know.
I'm just hesitant to do it with that small of a sample, and I got 3 people, 14 saying they're not interested. And honestly, I wouldn't want to spend $80,000 if all I'm doing is fix the road, and I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, she's right about the drainage. This is gonna ruin the new road. So,
Yeah.
you know, I would want to talk to the engineers, there she is.
Yeah.
And to make sure that the drainage issue has been resolved.
Oh, it has.
We're not just putting.
I can guarantee you that. That was the major thing, is that drainage at the pit of the road.
Well, but that's what they're saying they don't want done. If that's part of the proposal, that's what you're saying?
You want the drainage done at the bottom of the road, don't you?
Just fix the drain.
But they want just the
But we're-
drain. They don't
Oh,
want-
it
But
can't,
the
it
road,
can't.
the road surface in that area
It's
is
really
poor.
bad. It's flooding people's homes. I mean, it's bad.
But the scope of the proposal is more than fixing the drainage and the roadway over the top.
You're right. Uh-huh.
Well, it's doing, in the packet, there's the blue outline.
Yeah,
of
looking
the-
at it.
Okay, that would all be resurfaced, and all the drainage structures in that area would be redone.
All right, but if I understood this lady, she's saying that just, it's gonna take more than the existing drain structures being, I don't know, I guess
Oh,
I'm
it is,
not
it
an
is.
engineer.
That's the engineering part of it,
Yeah.
and I think the road commission engineers are pretty comfortable that what they design
We'll fix the drainage.
will fix the drainage issues.
All right, so what you're essentially saying is in order to fix the drainage, which is what this lady believes the problem to be, you gotta tear up the road anyway.
Yes.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
there isn't a mechanism to do the drainage without doing the road.
No, no.
Does that change your opinion at all? Yeah.
No, she realizes
Well,
it.
what's the issue that you want me to change my opinion on?
Well, what I was trying to glean is, as I understand it, they cannot fix the drainage without repaving the road. They're planning on fixing the drainage structures that are there all along this stretch that we're talking about.
Yeah, but I'm living
She's not gonna be in it.
She's not gonna be in it.
considerably south of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So the real problem starts, well, I can tell you the lot number, but it starts where Stratman's house was and then goes down. But it isn't that bad until it gets down to the corner. And the angle of the road is such that it causes the water to miss the drain. Now, how far you have to dig up or go south or in our direction to fix this drain, I don't know. I don't know how big the pipe is underneath the road.
Okay. I misunderstand. Your point was for the southern section of the road, the drainage needs to be fixed.
You know, I didn't think, and from my house down to the Fenton city line,
Yeah.
we're never having a problem with that.
Yeah, nothing at all, no
Nothing at all
problem.
in there.
Okay.
All right, now,
Well, the biggest thing is, you know, you have a road that kind of caves in, and then sometimes they go out. This road is built so that the drainage, that the water goes down the middle of the road. Most highways, you know, the crown is on top and the water goes to the side.
yeah.
So this is the problem we have. The further down meaning north, you go toward the corner, the, probably a little more of the pavement needs to be replaced because of the angle that the pavement has been laid down. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, I understand now. I just had you mislocated. I didn't
Yeah,
realize you were
yeah.
down on
She's
the
up,
south end.
she's on
Yeah.
the south end, yeah.
I was 180 degrees spun when you were talking, so I think I've been reoriented.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
I'm
with
not
you.
sure you do.
Yeah, yeah.
From
And, all right, and then I'm going to, I'll let you go ahead and speak again, but then I gotta move on and we gotta decide what we're gonna do, because we've got Eleanor also, if you don't mind. Go ahead, Carolyn, come on up and say what you're gonna say.
I was just going to say, at the north end and at the south end, both of Dartmouth go down to this curve in the road, to that sewer. And so, you know, the water is flowing on the roads in the right direction, but like Judith said, the rain is not taking it away. And I think that's the main problem right there.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
All right, to the board members, do you want to go ahead with this for the people that have signed the petitions?
Can I get clarification? So what you're saying is we have petitions from 11 of the 14?
11 of the 14?
Give or take one.
Can I say one more thing? You know, you're talking about the petition now. See, those people signed that petition, 2 years ago with the understanding that they were told at the time they signed that petition, it was gonna be about $4,000 per homeowner. And now, it's almost 6. I think they should be given the
Well,
opportunity
see,
to
Mark,
know
that's the
that.
problem.
What's
If you
that?
wait too long on getting bids,
Yeah.
the cost of material,
Well, I
labor.
understand that.
Now,
They
I'm
should-
not sure, but I do know that there is a gas line that is leaking on, I believe on the side of Darts. On Darts. And that road has got to get fixed.
Right,
And when they will tear up the road, they will fix that.
right.
But it bothers me to think that it is leaking and they know it and nothing is being done. But cost goes up all the time.
Right, but I think the homeowner should be given the opportunity to know this time what it's gonna cost.
Oh,
Just
I
going
agree,
ahead with it.
Mark.
Okay.
And Tom will be doing that, yes.
Yeah.
All right, now, what, Judith? And then we're gonna have to stop and go on to Eleanor. You know, I'm having a terrible time hearing.
She's asking where the gas leak is.
I don't know exactly where, but it's there, and it's consumers knowing it.
Natural gas you're talking about?
South end, there's a leak in the south end.
Consumers knows,
They know, so it's okay, is what they're saying, but it's there.
You're
So-
talking about natural gas?
Natural gas, yeah.
So how many do we have?
All but one, of the parcels in the proposed district, all but one signed the original petition.
Okay.
But to
You
Mr.
correct?
Compton's point, that was
4,000.
3 years ago, based on a different project scope. So if the board feels more comfortable, that we can absolutely say, you know what, let's start over from ground one with a new petition.
I'm just trying to do what people want to do, and I don't have a sense that I know what people want to do.
I expected more of the residents to be here.
I did too.
So I would, that's my viewpoint on this.
I would
All I'm trying to
think,
do is their money, we're taking their money from them.
you're right, but I would think 3 years ago and a 50% increase, I think I would be, again, what the residents want, but I would say why not bring a petition back and let them know the updated costs and what the project's going to include, and then, it's not, if it's 15 people, it's not gonna be a big petition to get.
And there's time to get that done without.
Talking next spring.
Because
doing
of
the
next spring.
project, yeah.
That's
Now,
where I feel most comfortable.
There's-
Let's do
All I
that.
ever want to do on these is what the folks want done, and I just don't have a sense of that.
There is still a decision though, there's a resolution to dissolve the existing district as well on the table, so that decision needs to be made as well.
The existing one encompasses the south part of the road,
The whole road.
the whole road. So if we're gonna ask them for a petition, I guess we probably need to clear that out of the way, and if they decide they wanna come back with a different proposal that includes everybody, we just recreate another one. So I think right now, that's the plan of action, so I would be supportive of dissolving the existing one, and see what they come back with.
You need to read it?
So we're going to,
So we need, there's two resolutions in the packet. One to dissolve the existing district, one to create the new one. And it sounds like the first one is the only one that we want to move on tonight.
Okay.
Is to dissolve.
Do we need to read it? or
is
just
to
move on?
resolve the first,
Dissolve.
dissolve the first assessment on the whole road.
The
the
Existing.
existing district.
Okay.
That's the short resolution.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Got you whenever.
All right, I'm going to close public comment. And then you're talking resolution 2017-12, Tom? Okay. Clerk Crew, would you please read the resolution?
Whereas the Fenton Township Board established the Dartmouth Drive Road Improvement Special Assessment District in 2014. And whereas the project to improve Dartmouth Drive has not commenced due to complications arising from the fact that certain portions of the existing road do not lie within the public right-of-way, and whereas efforts to obtain all necessary right-of-way agreements to construct the project as originally designed has been unsuccessful, thus making the project unfeasible. Now therefore be it resolved that the Fenton Township Board does hereby dissolve the Dartmouth Drive Road Improvement Special Assessment District. I'll move the resolution.
Support.
All right, I'm going to have any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Shoemaker's absent. Gopal?
Yes.
Tucker?
Yes.
Kessler?
Yes.
Lorraine?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mathis?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
All right, so now the 2017-13, we're not doing anything.
Because
So,
that's established in the
What do we
new
need
one.
to do to do that, though? Do we need a roll call for that? No?
no, I think we've got to schedule another public hearing?
Well, no, at
For
this
the-
point, the old one is done. The money's collected in 14 and 15 will be refunded and we start over.
Start over. So now,
I can draft up new petitions based on the new project
and then you got to have someone go,
someone will have to circulate the petition.
That should not be the board, that should be the
no,
resident.
no, it's a
Right,
resident,
exactly.
yeah, the resident. All right, seeing that you two people didn't want this to happen, you want to be one of the petitioners to go by? I mean, to get it going?
They should do that on their own.
That's what I
It should
mean.
not be the board. I mean, if
No,
they
no,
wanna-
no, no, not us, not
But
us.
if they want to come in and do it, well, I don't think the board should direct somebody to do it. I think
Okay,
the
gotcha.
residents themselves, whoever wants to do it, can come in. If nobody comes in, nobody comes in.
Nobody gets it then.
Right.
Okay. Tom will have it ready, and you're welcome to call whenever.
Procedurally, we don't need to do anything about the second part of this agenda item for creation of the new special.
No, because you did not create it, you
haven't
didn't
done it
pass
yet.
it, there is no.
Well,
there
but
is
we
no
didn't
special-
vote on it, we just talked about it.
We don't have to vote on it because you didn't do it. Their resolution was to set up another special assessment
Yeah, but it's on the
district.
agenda, don't we have to deal with it?
No, you can just, if nobody makes a motion about it, it's just dead in the water.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now we're going to go to Eleanor, okay? Proposed special assessment district for the improvement of Eleanor Street from Owen Road to Island View Drive. This is the public hearing for that. And the total estimate cost of the project is $143,750. I will now open the hearing for the public comment regarding the creation of a special assessment district the proposed boundaries of this district, the necessity of the improvement, the plans for the improvement, the cost estimates for the improvement. I will open it up for comment, and Richard, you sent a letter. Do you want to be the first one to go up and speak?
Sure.
Everyone has a letter from Richard in regards to this. It was put on your desk. There you go. I'm going to really ask you to talk louder. There's a vent behind me. I'm having a devil of a time hearing it yet.
I haven't said anything yet.
No, I know.
Speak up while you're being quiet.
Yeah, okay. I usually don't need a microphone. I'm Richard Steinhoff. I live on Island View Drive. The letter that I sent referenced to the previous time that I was out here regarding the Island View Drive repavement project. And I had asked that the people all the way down the street that use, specifically Chateau du Lac, which was at the end of our street, and that was their only access, and I asked that they be assessed the same as the rest of us on the street here. They had actually volunteered a small contribution, about a third of what we would be paying, and that was accepted by the board to accept their contribution, but they says that no, just because you live on, well, they didn't say this. They said that only the people directly on Island View were going to be assessed. They weren't going to do a special assessment further on down the road. So what I'm asking right now is that in their petition, did they mention a special assessment in the petition that they proposed for Eleanor?
The petition language does request the board to establish a special assessment district to resurface the road.
Yeah.
Well, then the assessment district, would everybody be assessed the same amount? For example, those people on Eleanor Street that directly front Eleanor Street of the repavement, would they be paying the same amount as the rest of the assessment district?
Well, that has not been determined. And if I could back up just a little bit, because you referenced the Island View Special Assessment, and I think it needs to be clarified. That special assessment was done by the County Road Commission and not by the Township. And they use a different statute, and they have a different policy as far as how they assess. They only assess the properties that front the improvement. So they would not include Chateau du Lac in their special assessment district. Chateau du Lac, you're correct, they volunteered to participate because they would benefit from it. So the properties in Chateau du Lac were assessed just a little over $2,000 a property. And I believe the property is on Island View over about $5,800 from the road commission. So it's a little different because that was not done by the township. The statute we use says that we can assess properties that benefit from the improvement. Now, how much we assess is something the board will have to determine. If the district is indeed created and all the properties are included, then it'll be based on the benefit received, whether it's everybody pays the same, or okay, on the frontage maybe it's one full share, maybe everyone else is paying half or 3/4. That is something the board has to sort through when they confirm a roll once we have a final cost. Tonight's decision is should the district be created, and what properties should be included in the district because they will benefit in some way from it.
Okay, so we still don't know how much that each of the properties would be assessed if they were if this the special assessment would go through.
Well, if it's done by, if I can pull that up, if you just give me a moment here. If everyone paid the same, you'd be looking at roughly $675 a lot.
So that the people fronting Eleanor would be paying $675?
Correct. If that is ultimately the way it is spread. Now, if it's done where, okay, people on Eleanor pay a full share and everyone else pays 3/4 of a share, then those properties are paying, find here, $900, and everyone else is paying $80. More.
Well, that, yeah.
No.
There,
I'm sorry.
okay.
It's about 600. So, but again, that has not been decided. Those are estimates based on possible assessment methods.
Okay, originally, this same island, Eleanor Street was originally in the proposal for the paving of Island View, but they decided that they didn't want to be included in there. At that time, it would have been about $5,800 that they'd be paying, a little less than $6,000, and now they'd be paying $700 or $900 or $1,000. That sounds like it's a good 75% bargain.
Didn't we do something like this on Crane?
Yes.
Crane Road was paved, and it goes to the side road. Is it Golden Shore?
Well, there was Golden Shores, there was Crane Ridge, Crane Wood. And Lake Shore got paved, so they paid a portion. They paid their own plus a portion of Crane.
Yeah.
So it's
So it was different prices.
Yes.
It was the use of the people. And as I listen, now I might have somebody really mad at me, but if I was on Eleanor and I don't use the road, the whole length of the road, then I would want to be less. Because let's say I'm the first house on Eleanor. I don't think it would be fair to charge that person the same as the people that are using all the whole road. But that's just my personal opinion on it.
You did that when you did Island View. Those people down the beginning paid the same amount as those people down the end.
Yeah.
But anyway, but the thing is that now when you consider down the end of the road there, let's say Chateau and Barrington and like that, but specifically Chateau, would they be assessed as one lot, or would they be assessed as all individuals?
well, each parcel.
Each parcel within
Yeah.
Chateau de Lac would be
Yeah.
equal. Okay.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I had here was the statute that you seem to be working under, Act 188 of 1954, and updated and all that. Number 41.723, subsection 3A, it says for an improvement under section so-and-so like that, by the record owners of land constituting more than 50% of the total land area in the special assessment district. I don't think you have over 50% of the people in the special assessment
The
district.
land area that statute is used for more than roads. Land area is not the method of determining petition sufficiency for a road improvement. It is frontage of the improvement itself. Land area is what we use for weed control special assessments, street lighting special assessments. So land area, it's part of the statute, you're right, but it does not apply to road projects. It applies to other types of improvements.
Well, that's interesting, because it says this is regarding the total frontage upon the road, bicycle path, or sidewalk. It seems to apply to the road, not just
Not
other.
land area.
I can try to find her. I mean, I don't know all this stuff
Yeah, I
by
don't
heart.
either.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Give me the numbers again that you were reading.
Okay, 41.723, section 3,
Bear with me.
and then 3A after that. The next page,
41.723. 41.723?
41.723. It says written objections, petition, filing, and signatures, determining record owners and so forth.
We might have to get him this answer after.
Well,
The next,
Well, if I could, apart from whatever that answer is, if there's sufficient petitions, that could be looked at internally without having that answer here. I mean,
Yeah. Okay, the next section too, 41.724, section 4, and then 4. Under that, it says, if a petition is required because property is added to the special assessment district, which makes the original petition insufficient, then a supplemental petition shall be filed containing sufficient additional signatures of record owners. Seems to me like you need a petition in order to do this special assessment district, and it would seem that your choice, I may be wrong, today is to accept what the original petition was and either accept it or deny it, and then wait for over 50% of the special assessment district to file a petition.
But there's no additional frontage. We're not adding frontage to.
You're adding a special assessment
We're-
district.
We're adding properties to the district, but under 41.723, 3B, for improvement under section 21C, G, K, or M, by record owners of land loading more than 50% of the total frontage upon the road, bicycle path, or sidewalk. Okay, the only subject of the improvement is Eleanor from Owen to Island View. So for a petition to be sufficient, it has to be over 50% of that frontage.
It doesn't say of the frontage, it says 50% of the total land area in the special assessment district as finally established. That's what it
If I
says.
may interrupt here, really, this is not the forum for that.
Well, they're looking at two different subsections. Richard is looking at subsection A, Tom is looking at subsection B.
Oh. All right.
So
And
really,
B talks about 50% of the frontage of the road, bicycle path, or sidewalk. Where Richard is talking about 50% of the special land area, that's in subparagraph A.
In the special assessment
3A.
district.
Of the, yeah, I'm sorry, yes. That's in 3A, Tom is saying 3B, I don't know, I haven't looked at it enough to.
so what would be the process
Well,
now?
if you look back
Answer
on
these questions.
41.722, which is section 2, which is what it's referring to. Section 2C is construction, improvement, and maintenance of public roads. So we're looking for section 2(1)C.
And that's subparagraph B, which is what you're saying.
Correct.
Yeah, what Richard is saying is for different improvements.
Correct.
Yes. You have to look at each of those subsections, but with all due respect, this is not the forum to debate. I mean, if you want to file an objection to it, or if you want to say that, but this is not the forum to debate that and come to a decision. If the board's uncomfortable with where you're at now, you can continue the public hearing and do more research on it, but this isn't the forum or it's not even set up to do that where there's research being done here. Mr. Tucker and I are both trying to find things on the
You can't do it
internet,
that quick, no.
but I don't believe that it's a land area issue on this type of improvement. Some types of
Yeah,
improvement
no.
it is, some are not.
Well, Tom is right. I'm sorry, Tom, Richard, but Tom is a better lawyer than you are. Section 2 is where it talks about the types of improvements. So paragraph 1C is the construction, improvement, and maintenance of public roads. So when you get into section 3, you need to be looking for improvements under section 2(1)C, and you're in the wrong spot. You're in 2(1)B.
All right, so.
Okay.
Richard, let me just ask you, are you on Eleanor or are you on Island View?
Island View.
Island View. And you're questioning the amount or you're questioning?
I'm questioning the special assessment district which is outside of the actual where the road is being, that's not our only access road, you know. We come in off of Jacob too.
Jacob too.
Yeah, and all the way down, yeah.
Okay, but
If you
that's-
come in, pardon?
No, go ahead, I don't mean to.
Well, no, Eleanor isn't our only access road. We have Jacob that we come through also, which is just down one block.
That's a board decision, what they decide that special assessment is, you know, what that district is. And then if there's 20% of the residents that object to that, they can file a petition, and then if 50% of the residents agree with what the board decided originally,
So-
then it goes ahead.
So we need 20% to file an objection to it,
Right, I mean, was
which
this started
isn't-
by petition or by?
which wasn't even asked for in the first
Of
place.
road frontage, petition of the property owners along the proposed improvement. So seven,
Not the whole district?
no, just the 7 properties, because the only frontage we have
Just
is
a
the
short.
proposed improvement.
Okay, well, you get 20% of the people within that district objecting, then you have to get 50% of the people within the district.
So if there's only 7, 20% is 2.
Well, that's there, but if the
And then you
district
need 4 to
encompasses
move
more than the
forward.
road itself,
But he's saying the
Okay.
number is only based on the,
well, you have to count the whole district.
Otherwise, the
But
cost is
there's,
prohibitive.
there's no frontage there.
Well, it doesn't matter if there's frontage, if it's part of your district, you're making that part of the district because those people are gonna benefit.
They're gonna benefit from it.
And I haven't looked at all the maps and all this. I mean, I don't know what the issues, I mean, sometimes at these meetings, issues come up that nobody's prepared to address, and this is
Yeah.
one of them for me. But if the district is there, even though you're only paving part of the road, you have to count the whole district. You can't just count
Absolutely.
where it's being paved.
But
Well-
didn't Chateau de Lac people pay for some of the money for Island View to be redone?
Yeah, that was in the past, yeah.
And what you're saying is you don't want to pay part, you would be like a Chateau de Lac compared to this Eleanor. You know, they.
Yeah, we're
helped
not
you
fronting on there, and it kind of behooves me that 6 people sign this petition, and they're going to assess 100 other people. I
That
don't,
would be more like a taxation. If that's
Yeah.
the case, that's more like taxation as opposed to an assessment. So maybe we ought to go back and look at our drawings.
yeah, but I mean, the thing is that 6 people want this done, and then it affects 100 other people. I'll cede to somebody else.
Paul,
I think some other people ought to address, my name is Paul Dorland. I've lived out there for 40 years. Island View, that little short stretch, the only thing I worry about or are concerned about is the horse and the tail. I would like to know how much the assessment would be. As far as doing that road, Dick can say we got another road. I'll tell you 99.9% of the people use the little short piece of Eleanor. I personally have a contact with the county every month. They're very good. I call them and have them come over and fill the potholes. In the wintertime, it's a dangerous thing because the way that road is, there's all kinds of accidents that happen with people sliding out into Owen Road. Personally, for the few dollars it would cost versus the amount of damage probably done to vehicles over the years, it's one of the best things that could happen right now. I just would like to know, because I have a few other pieces of property there, what it's going to cost me, and is it a 1-year assessment?
Well, the amounts, as I said before.
Yeah, I don't heard you
will
say-
vary. It appears that no matter how we slice it or dice it, if all the properties proposed to be in the district are in the district, each assessment will be less than $1,000. Now, where it falls within that range is to be determined. We would probably allow that assessment to go out 5 years for those who want to.
Okay,
allow
per
it.
household you do it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But that's the
Yeah, and as
total.
far as those people using part of the road and not, that's ridiculous. What's the difference? The road needs to be fixed. Thank you.
yes, sir.
My name is Roger Rohr, and I agree with this gentleman here. Eleanor Street is one of the worst streets, and it should have been done when Island View Drive was done. However, I fully understand why the people on Eleanor would not pay the $5,800 or $5,900 because of the usage, the length of usage. Some of these people maybe use it for 600-800 feet. And but it's a terrible road, and it's terrible for our wonderful subdivision. And I can tell you that Craig Essman and I kind of spearheaded the resurfacing of Island View Drive, and they did a wonderful job. And to the people at Dartmouth, when they did Island View, they did all of the drains, and it's just marvelous. There's starting to be some transverse horizontal fissures that are going through, and I'll probably talk to Tom Broker down the line here on what might be able to be done to correct that. But I'm just one of my questions is, who determines the district per se? Does the board here determine the district? In other words, the number of parcels, you quoted $600 and some. Now, and the total cost being what, 140?
Well, there's the engineering cost is picked up by the county, so the resident portion is 125.
125,000, yeah. So if the cost came out to 600 and some, how many parcels were projected into that? How big is the district that we're talking about?
Pretty big.
About 186 parcels in the proposed district.
Okay, so now that's going to be Island View Drive, Chateau. That would be the other side of Eleanor Street, and then the side that is west of Eleanor Street also on Island View Drive.
Yes.
Right. So in other words, all of the parcels will be participating to get the cost down to $600+ or
That's right.
under $1,000. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So my other question is, does a petition have to be signed in this particular case, and who's going to head up that project?
The petition was already submitted.
But to the 7 parcels.
For the parcels that front the proposed improvement.
And it passed?
6 of the 7 property owners signed it.
Okay. So no other parcels or no other petition has to be floated beyond the property
Same
owners
like
that
Island View people.
face
Well,
the
because
property.
The petition is based on the frontage of the improvement, and that's all there is for frontage of the improvement are those 7 parcels.
Right. So as it stands now, is it an issue for the board to make the final decision on this, or where are we?
The board, by their resolution, will determine what properties will be in the district. And under the law, the properties in the district must benefit from the improvement. And the level of benefit then is determined in the cost allocation when the roll is confirmed. But the initial step is which properties are benefiting from this proposed improvement, and then those properties should legally be in the district.
If I can interrupt,
Yeah.
my suggestion to the board is continue this public hearing. I'm not comfortable where this legally, I mean, I'm not paying any of these assessments, but legally, I'm not comfortable with where this is going. It just seems inappropriate, and I'm trying to look stuff up here, but it seems inappropriate that you tax parcels of land, but they don't get to vote on it. And that's a tax. This is supposed to be a special assessment where the individuals involved, the majority of the individuals involved with the benefit of that are paying have some benefit to that. But and it may be right, and I'm not saying that, so don't think I'm just talking about law. But it just doesn't seem correct. There's a distinction legally between a tax and an assessment. And a tax is either levied on some measure, and you may or may not get some benefit, like when we pay our federal taxes, right? Yeah, I said that on TV. But in any event, a special assessment, the purpose of that is the individuals involved in that group that's paying that have some benefit. But if don't get to vote on it, it's us, the board, saying, yeah, well, you're gonna get some benefit out of it, never mind what you think, you're gonna get some benefit, so we're gonna charge you. So my suggestion to the board, without me editorializing, because maybe that's correct, maybe it's wrong, I think it's wrong, that's why I'm suggesting this, so I can look it up, that you just continue, not end or whatever, but continue this public hearing to the next meeting, and then we can get some better legal put-together answers. That would be my suggestion.
One question, just so I know what you're saying. Are you saying the only difference in your mind between an assessment and a tax is whether the people get a chance to input as to whether they want to pay it?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
like, for example...
That's fine, I
yeah.
understand.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Which makes sense, yes. All right, can I, we'll let the gentleman here speak. I'll let the...
Well, if you're gonna
Oh.
continue this special, assessment hearing, you don't need to do all that now. You can do it now or you can do it later, but we don't really know what issues we're talking about.
You're right, we don't.
So my suggestion would be that the board vote to continue the special assessment hearing
Got it.
to the, a definitive date, the next
meeting?
meeting date or whatever. That way you don't have to send out new notices.
I would like to make a couple points before you do that. Okay, we've lived in Chateau de Lac for 32 years. And as I remember, we were asked by our board, our condominium board, if we would be willing to participate in paying for Island View. And we said, yeah, we would do that. So we did that. That's how it happened. Then we find out that the people that live on Eleanor said, no, we're not gonna participate. So they didn't pave that one. And that upset most of us because that road is horrible. It's been horrible ever since we've lived out there. So I've got a nice car with nice wheels. I use Jacob. I don't need Eleanor. And I'm not willing to pay for it because those people were selfish and wouldn't step up to the plate to pay. And so why now are we getting assessed and we don't have a voice? That's where I'm coming from. And
all right. Thank you. What we're going to have to do, like Mr. Belzer said, is we'll have to continue this to our next meeting. Now, there's two gentlemen, and they've been waiting. If you can come up and just say...
That's no gentleman.
Yeah. Just your concerns real quick.
Well, Bill, you lucked out. They think you're still a gentleman.
That's right.
Thank you very much. That's one I don't know about.
That's right. Chris Swanson, Barrington Hills. I spearheaded the petition to go on Eleanor to try to get that paved. I think everybody in this room can agree that's a beautiful piece of the township. And everybody can agree that's a terrible road. I'm not here to defend what happened in the 80s or the 90s. I just know that Eleanor is a terrible road. It's dangerous. You can't walk down it without rolling your ankle or ride a bike down it. And for less than $700, which over 5 years is 36 cents a day, it makes no sense. And Mr. Belzer, I think we did vote. We voted for you guys to make good, wise decisions for the community. I think that the law is very clear that the folks on Eleanor, they signed the petition to establish the resurfacing. I think the usage is very, very logical. We're not asking people on Jacob to pay. We're not asking people on that far side, just those that use it. And I think you'll find that 90% of the people beyond that point will agree to pay $650 over 5 years or one time only. You look at all those roads, they're perfect. The subdivision, everybody's house is nice, it's on the water. I really don't even know why it's an issue. I feel bad for the gentleman in Chateau. I wasn't here in the 80s and 90s and understand what was promised, but I do know that there's folks in Eleanor that were given a hefty price tag back then, and they couldn't afford it. It was in the tens of thousands.
You're right.
So why don't we all just share the cost of $650 and get Eleanor paved, and it'll all be done. So I would encourage the board to just pass the resolution to establish the zone and give the public who's impacted a public notice, an opportunity to come here just like this and say, hey, this is what the board has decided to do. If you have any opposition or support, come talk. Otherwise, we're going to make the best decision for the township. If every decision you made had to be passed with the people, you'd never get anything done. So I would just encourage you to use the good judgment you have with the people, and you know you're not going to make everybody happy, but we all know that Eleanor needs to be taken care of. So that'd be my position. Thank you.
All right, and this will be the last comment then, in regards to this. Thank you.
My name is William Gardner. I've lived at 4321 Island View Drive since 1971. I've seen a lot happening there. And
Bill, can you speak
louder, Bill?
my name is William Gardner. I've been paying taxes at 4321 Island View Drive since 1971. I paid my share to have it resurfaced for my frontage. The people in Eleanor should be paying for having Eleanor on their frontage. They should be paying for that. They didn't. So now they're trying to get us to pay for their frontage, and that's not right.
Okay.
And with the people that are not the 7 people that live on Eleanor should have a more say in this than this little speech that I'm giving. Most of the people here feel the same way I do. We pay for the frontage, the road and our frontage, and that's what everybody should be paying for.
All right. What we're going to do with the suggestion of Mr. Belzer, we're going to continue this and let it go on to in 2 weeks. And nobody's going to be happy, just like Mr. Swanson said. They're not. And when the one gentleman said 8 years ago, whatever, yeah, that was maybe a whole different group of people. And the people on Island View, there's a lot of new ones that I'm seeing on Island View. But there is a route, and you are making this route. You're driving the road. And if somebody doesn't fix Eleanor, all of you are going to start doing Jacob, and then Jacob's going to have to be fixed. So I know how I would vote, but we'll continue this. Do I need to make a motion to continue? I will make a motion to continue the discussion on the special assessment for Eleanor. Thank you, Chris. Yes, for the public hearing, yes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Gopal? Yes. Tucker?
Yes.
Lorraine?
Yes.
Mathis?
Yes.
Shoemaker is absent. Kessler?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Okay, motion is carried.
We're gonna make you come back again. You don't have anything better to do on Monday night in the summer.
Yeah.
Well, it won't be Monday though.
It's 3 weeks.
All right.
Please remember
weeks.
the next meeting is not the first Monday in July, it's the second, because of the holiday. So it'll be July 10th. Just didn't want you showing up and
Will we get another notification of this, or?
Should be in the
No.
paper or no? No.
You will not, so you need to put on your calendar.
7:30?
Yes.
7:30, All right.
Will you have, Mr. Belzer, will you have answered your own question then by that time?
Oh, sure.
For the legality of this? So in other words, at that meeting, we can assume that there'll be a final decision?
Yes.
Well,
on
I'll
this,
give my
issue?
recommendation. I mean, sometimes they
Yes.
listen, sometimes they no. Yeah, I'll research that issue, yes.
Okay. All right, reports. Are there any committee reports to be made to the board? None. All right. Communications? None. Adoption of ordinances? None. Unfinished business. Now this is the master plan. It's going to take some time. Sean Shoemaker is not here, and he said he'd like to be part of it. I'd like to postpone it till the next meeting, or table it. Yeah. But it's going to, he asked me if we would consider that. What are your concerns?
Well, if he asks, I respect that.
Do you want to make a motion then, Mark, in regards to?
I'll move we postpone the Propose to develop master plan, township recorder plan update until the next meeting.
Support.
Okay, roll call.
Mathis,
Yes.
Kessler,
Yes.
I vote yes. Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Shoemaker is absent. It passes.
All right, in the next meeting, this is a reminder, our July meeting will be held on the second and fourth Mondays of the month. So our next meeting will be Monday, July 10th. New business, resolution number 2017-15. This is a renewal of Lake Christie Special Assessment District for a 5-year renewal proposal. A new special assessment role has been created, certified and filed with the township clerk. A public hearing is required before confirming the new special assessment role. A resolution has been prepared to schedule the hearing. Any board discussion? All right, resolution number 2017-15. Clerk Crew, will you please present the resolution?
As soon as I get it. Good old computers. Whereas the supervisor and assessing officer of Fenton Township has, in accordance with the law and statutes pertinent thereto, prepared a special assessment roll in a total amount of $18,048.48 for the years 2017 through 2021, covering all parcels of land within Lake Christie Improvement Special Assessment District, and has affixed thereto or certificate as required by said resolution. Now therefore be it resolved that the special assessment roll shall be filed with the township clerk and shall be available for public examination during regular business hours of regular business days from the present date until the public hearing upon the same, and shall further be examined at such public hearing. And be it further resolved that the Fenton Township Board shall meet at 7:30 on July 10th, 2017 at the Fenton Township Civic Community Center located at 12060 Manitowoc Drive within the township to review such special assessment roll and hear any objections thereto. Be it finally resolved that the township clerk shall cause notice of such hearing and the filing of such assessment roll to be published twice in the paper of local circulation prior to the date of the hearing, with the first publication being no less than 10 days prior to the hearing, and shall further cause notice of such hearing to be mailed by first-class mail to all owners of or persons having an interest in the property within Lake Christie Improvement Special Assessment District as shown on the current assessment roll of the township at least 10 days prior to said hearing, all in accordance with the law and statute provided. I'll move the resolution.
Do I have a second?
So moved.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Kessler,
Yes.
I vote yes. Shoemaker's absent. Lorraine,
Yes.
Mathis,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Gopel.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
All right, board comments. Are there any other comments from the members of the board? Okay, public comments, agenda or non-agenda items. I'll open it up. No, all right. We are a proposed employment agreement. We are going to go into executive session for operation manager. I need a motion.
If I could,
Go ahead.
Madam Supervisor. So my request to the board is that a motion be made for executive session, which has to be a roll call vote for two purposes. One is the employment agreement with the operations manager, and also for the board to be brought up to date relative to the contract negotiations with the township hall employees. And that would be my request to the board, that you make a motion, second, and then a roll call vote on that.
two
And all
motions,
that
or
is
can we
is
do it
just
all
an
in one?
adjournment of this.
But
Can we
now,
do it all in
yeah,
one
It can all
motion?
be one, sure.
Can you do that tonight for, I mean, Sean isn't here.
It would just be me. I would rather have Sean in the position to be able to collaborate on anything that could be said. I'm glad to bring the board up to date
Well, yeah, you
on
can-
anything that the board
right.
would like to ask me. I could
You don't
certainly
have
do
to
that.
necessarily have anything to vote on, it's just so you're up to date, you know what's going on.
Well,
Yeah.
puts it on the possible things to talk about.
Right,
Don't
exactly.
talk much about it, then okay.
Right, exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So what,
I just made the motion that Jack said.
So moved.
No, I made it, you're
Support.
all right. Do you want me to, so there's a motion, you want me to do any further discussion in regards to it? Do I do a roll call in
Yes,
regards to it?
yes.
All right, roll call, please.
Lorraine,
Yes.
Mathis,
Yes.
Kessler,
Yes.
Gopel,
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
I vote no. Shoemaker is absent.
Okay,
So then,
all right, now,
go into executive session.
we're going into executive session for the purpose of convening